Every life is shaped by thoughts. They are the invisible architects of our reality, quietly influencing the way we feel, the choices we make, and the paths we walk. Yet most of us move through our days unaware of their true power. We accept our thoughts as facts, as if they are unchangeable truths, never realizing that they are simply patterns. Patterns that can be observed, guided, and transformed. This book is a journey into that hidden world. It is an exploration of the mind's operating system, the science of neuroplasticity, and the art of conscious thought control. It is a guide to breaking free from automatic patterns, mastering your internal dialogue, and building mental immunity that protects you from negativity. Each chapter is designed to help you see your thoughts not as commands, but as choices, not as limitations, but as possibilities. The purpose of this journey is not to silence your thoughts or to chase perfection. It is to awaken awareness, to cultivate resilience, and to empower you with tools that allow you to design your inner world deliberately. With practice, you will learn to pause, observe, and redirect. You will discover that your mind is not a battlefield but a garden, and that every thought is a seed waiting to grow. Pause for a moment and imagine the life you desire, a life filled with clarity, confidence, and peace. That vision begins here with the thoughts you choose today. This introduction is your invitation to step into the role of observer, gardener, and creator. It is the beginning of a journey that will show you how to master your mind, transform your patterns, and awaken the power within. Chapter 1. The Hidden Power of Thought Control. Most people spend their lives believing that their thoughts define them. When a thought arises, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," it feels like reality. We accept it without question, as if it is the truth about who we are. Yet the reality is far more liberating. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. This realization is like stepping out of a storm and realizing you are not the rain, nor the thunder, nor the lightning. You are the sky itself, vast, calm, and unchanging. The storm may pass through, but it does not define the sky. In the same way, your thoughts may come and go, but they do not define who you are. Imagine sitting quietly by a river. Thoughts are like leaves floating past you on the water. Some are bright and beautiful, others heavy and dark. But you are not the leaves. You are the one sitting on the bank, watching them drift by. This shift in perspective changes everything. When you see yourself as the observer, you gain the power to guide your thoughts instead of being swept away by them. You no longer have to believe every thought that arises. You can choose which ones to nurture and which ones to let go. Your brain is not fixed or rigid. It is alive, flexible, and constantly reshaping itself through a process called neuroplasticity. Every thought you repeat builds a pathway in your brain, like a trail in the forest. Walk the same trail often enough, and it becomes automatic. That is why old habits and negative patterns feel so strong. They are well-worn trails carved by years of repetition. But here lies the hidden power. New trails can be created. By choosing different thoughts and practicing them consistently, you carve new paths in your brain. Over time, these new paths grow stronger than the old ones, and your habits begin to change. Think of it like learning a new language. At first, the words feel unfamiliar, the grammar awkward, but with repetition, the new language becomes natural. In the same way, positive thoughts may feel strange at first, but with practice, they become your new default. The secret to thought control is not to fight your thoughts. Fighting only makes them louder, like trying to push away waves in the ocean. Instead, the art lies in guiding them. Notice them as they arise. Understand where they come from. Then gently redirect them toward what serves you. This is not suppression. It is conscious choice. It is the difference between being a passenger in your mind and becoming the driver. Think of your mind as a garden. Every thought is a seed. Positive thoughts plant flowers, while negative thoughts plant weeds. If you water the weeds, they will grow and take over. If you nurture the flowers, they will bloom and fill your garden with beauty. The choice of which seeds to plant and which ones to nourish is yours. You are the gardener of your mental landscape. Pause for a moment and reflect. Imagine yourself sitting quietly, watching your thoughts pass by like clouds in the sky. Some are light and gentle, others heavy and stormy. But remember, you are not the clouds. You are the sky itself, vast and unchanging. When you see yourself as the sky, thoughts lose their power to control you. They become passing events, not permanent truths. This is a hidden power of thought control, the ability to step back, observe, and choose. With practice, you can transform your mental patterns. You can replace fear with courage, doubt with confidence, and negativity with hope. At first, it may feel difficult. Old trails are strong, and weeds grow quickly. But every time you choose a new thought, you plant a new seed. Every time you repeat it, you water that seed, and with time, your garden begins to change. Remember, you are not trapped by your thoughts. You are the gardener, the guide, the observer. With patience and practice, you can choose which thoughts to nurture and which ones to let go. And as your thoughts change, so does your life. Chapter 2. Understanding your mental operating system. Your mind is like a sophisticated computer, running countless programs every single day. Some of these programs are conscious, the ones you actively choose and control. Others are subconscious, the ones running quietly in the background, shaping your thoughts, emotions, and actions without you even realizing it. To truly control your thoughts, you must first understand how this mental operating system works. The conscious mind is the part you use when you make deliberate decisions. It processes only a small amount of information at a time. It is the voice that says, I should eat healthier, or I need to focus on this task. But because it is limited, the conscious mind cannot handle everything. That is where the subconscious mind comes in. The subconscious mind is the real powerhouse. It runs a majority of your automatic thoughts and behaviors. It is where your core beliefs, habits, and emotional patterns are stored. Most of these programs were installed during childhood, when your brain was highly impressionable. The words you heard, the experiences you lived, and the lessons you absorbed became the foundation of your subconscious. These programs continue to generate thoughts every day, often without your awareness. Think of it this way. If your conscious mind is the captain of the ship, your subconscious mind is the ocean current. The captain may steer, but the current has enormous influence on where the ship goes. If the current is strong and negative, it will pull you off course no matter how hard you try to steer. If the current is positive and supportive, it will carry you smoothly toward your destination. The key to thought control lies in interrupting outdated subconscious programs and installing new ones. This begins with awareness. You must learn to audit your mental operating system by paying attention to your thoughts without judgment. Notice the patterns that repeat. Ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Does it serve me today? Or is it an old program that no longer fits the life I want to create? When you observe your thoughts in this way, you begin to see the difference between conscious choice and subconscious programming. You realize that many of your automatic thoughts are not truly yours. They are echoes of the past. And once you see them clearly, you gain the power to change them. Your mental operating system is not fixed. Just like a computer, it can be updated. Old programs can be deleted and new ones can be installed. By consciously choosing new thoughts and repeating them, you begin to rewrite the subconscious. Over time, these new programs take root, and your automatic thoughts begin to align with your conscious goals. Understanding your mental operating system is a foundation of thought control. It shows you that your mind is not a mystery, but a system that can be observed, understood, and guided. And once you learn how it works, you hold the power to transform it. Chapter 3. How thoughts become your reality. Every single thing that exists in your life began first as a thought. The clothes you wear, the home you live in, the career you pursue, even the relationships you nurture, all of them started as ideas in someone's mind before they became reality. This is a hidden truth. Your external world is a reflection of your internal world. What you think, you eventually create. Thoughts are not passive. They are seeds of energy. When you hold a thought, it generates an emotion. That emotion then drives an action, and the action produces a result. This cycle, thought, emotion, action, result, repeats itself constantly, reinforcing the original thought. If the thought is negative, the cycle produces more negativity. If the thought is positive, the cycle produces growth and opportunity. Imagine planting a garden. Every thought is a seed. Positive thoughts plant flowers, while negative thoughts plant weeds. If you keep planting weeds, your garden becomes overrun, choking out the beauty that could grow there. But if you choose to plant flowers, nurture them, and give them attention, your garden flourishes. The same principle applies to your mind. The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. Science supports this truth. Your brain does not distinguish between imagination and reality. When you vividly imagine a new way of thinking, your brain begins to form real neural pathways, as if the experience were happening. This means that every time you choose to focus on empowering thoughts, you are literally reshaping your brain at a cellular level. Repetition strengthens these pathways, making them automatic. Over time, your chosen thoughts become your default reality. Consider how often we repeat the same thoughts day after day. Studies suggest that the majority of our daily thoughts are identical to those we had yesterday. This means that if you're stuck in patterns of worry, fear, or self-doubt, you're reinforcing those same pathways over and over again. But the moment you become aware of this cycle, you gain the power to break it. By consciously choosing new thoughts, you interrupt the old program and begin to install a new one. Pause for a moment and reflect on your own life. What thoughts do you repeat most often? Are they seeds of hope and confidence, or seeds of fear and limitation? What kind of garden have you been planting in your mind? Remember, your reality is not fixed. It is shaped by the thoughts you choose to nurture. The art of thought control is not about suppressing or denying your thoughts. It is about directing your mental energy toward what you want to create. When you learn to select your thoughts consciously, you begin to design your life deliberately instead of living by default. This is the power of awareness. This is the power of choice. Your thoughts are the blueprint of your future. Every time you choose a thought aligned with your values and goals, you lay another brick in the foundation of the life you desire. And as those bricks accumulate, your reality begins to transform. Chapter 4, The Science of Neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a static organ. It is not fixed in its design, nor locked into the patterns of your past. Instead, it is alive, dynamic, and constantly reshaping itself through a process called neuroplasticity. This word may sound complex, but its meaning is simple and powerful. Your brain has the ability to reorganize itself by forming new connections every single day. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every action you take leaves a mark on your brain, carving pathways that can grow stronger or weaker depending on how often they are used. Imagine a forest filled with trails. Some trails are wide, clear, and easy to walk because they have been used for years. Others are faint, overgrown, and difficult to follow because they are rarely traveled. Your thoughts work in the same way. Repeated thoughts create strong, well-worn trails in your brain. These trails become automatic, guiding your behavior without effort. That is why habits feel so natural. They are simply the result of pathways that have been reinforced over time. But here's the extraordinary truth. New trails can always be created. When you choose a new thought, you blaze a fresh path in the forest of your mind. At first, it may feel awkward, unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. But with repetition, the path becomes clearer. With practice, it grows stronger. Eventually, it becomes just as automatic as the old trails you once followed. This is the essence of neuroplasticity, the ability to change your brain by changing your thoughts. Science shows us that the brain does not distinguish between reality and imagination. When you vividly imagine a new way of thinking or behaving, your brain responds as if it were real. Neural pathways begin to form, preparing you for the change you envision. This means that every time you picture yourself confident, calm, or successful, you're literally rewiring your brain to make that state more natural. Your imagination is not just fantasy. It is a tool for transformation. Consider how this applies to negative patterns. If you constantly repeat thoughts of worry, fear, or self-doubt, you strengthen those pathways until they dominate your mental landscape. But the moment you become aware of this process, you gain the power to interrupt it. By consciously choosing new thoughts of courage, gratitude, or possibility, you begin to weaken the old trails and strengthen the new ones. Over time, your brain reorganizes itself to support your chosen reality. Neuroplasticity is the science behind hope. It proves that you're not trapped by your past, your habits, or your old beliefs. Your brain is always changing, always adapting, always ready to grow. Every thought you choose is a step toward reshaping your mind. Every repetition is a step toward building a new life. Pause and reflect on this truth. Your brain is listening to you. It is waiting for your instructions. The thoughts you choose today will shape the pathways of tomorrow. And with patience, practice, and persistence, you can design a brain and a life that reflects your highest vision. Chapter 5. Breaking free from automatic thought patterns. Most of the thoughts you experience each day are not new. In fact, research suggests that the vast majority of your daily thoughts are simply repeats of the ones you had yesterday. This means that much of your mental energy is spent recycling old patterns, many of which were formed years ago and may no longer serve you. These automatic thought loops often come from limiting beliefs learned in childhood, past experiences, or repeated habits. They feel natural because they are familiar, but familiarity does not mean truth. Breaking free from these patterns begins with awareness. You cannot change what you do not see. The first step is to notice your thoughts as they arise, without judgment. Simply observe them, as if you were watching clouds drift across the sky. By naming them, this is worry, this is doubt, this is fear, you create distance between yourself and the thought. This practice, known as metacognition, allows you to think about your thinking. It is the key to stepping outside of the automatic cycle. Once you become aware of your patterns, you can begin to question them. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Does it align with the life I want to create? Often, you'll find that automatic thoughts are based on old stories that no longer fit your present reality. By challenging them, you weaken their hold and open space for new possibilities. There are practical techniques to help you break free. One is the pause and replace method. When a negative thought arises, pause for a moment, take a breath, and consciously choose a new thought to replace it. Another is physical interruption. Standing up, moving your body, or changing your environment to break the cycle. Even small actions can disrupt the momentum of automatic thinking. Labeling your thoughts is another powerful tool. By giving them names, you strip them of their mystery. A thought labeled fear or self-criticism loses its power to define you. It becomes something you can observe, rather than something you must obey. Over time, this practice builds strength, helping you recognize patterns more quickly and redirect them more effectively. Breaking free from automatic thought patterns is not about eliminating all negative thoughts. That is impossible. Instead, it is about reclaiming your role as the guide of your mind. It is about choosing which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones can be released. With practice, you begin to see that you are not trapped by your old stories. You are free to write new ones. Pause and reflect for a moment. Think about the thoughts you repeat most often. Are they empowering or are they limiting? Do they move you forward or do they hold you back? Remember, awareness is the first step and choice is the second. By combining the two, you begin to break free from the automatic loops that once controlled your life. This chapter is about liberation. It is about realizing that your mind is not a prison, but a landscape you can shape. The patterns of yesterday do not have to dictate the reality of tomorrow. With awareness, questioning, and conscious choice, you can step out of the cycle and create a new path, one that leads to growth, freedom, and transformation. Chapter 6. The Art of Conscious Thought Selection. Every thought that enters your mind carries potential. Some thoughts uplift you, others drain you. Some align with your values and goals, while others pull you away from them. The truth is that not every thought deserves your attention. The art of conscious thought selection is about learning to choose which thoughts to engage with and which ones to release. When a thought arises, you have a brief window, about 90 seconds, before it either fades or becomes reinforced. In that short span of time, you hold the power to decide whether the thought will grow stronger or dissolve. This is where awareness becomes essential. By noticing your thoughts as they appear, you can pause and ask, does this thought serve me? Does it align with the life I want to create? If the answer is no, you can let it go. If the answer is yes, you can nurture it, repeat it, and allow it to take root. This process is called thought discrimination. It is the practice of evaluating your thoughts based on criteria that matter to you, your values, your goals, your vision for the future. Instead of letting every thought run unchecked, you become the gatekeeper of your mind. You decide which thoughts are worthy of your energy. This is not suppression. It is direction. It is the conscious choice to invest your mental energy where it will create growth. Mindful awareness is the foundation of this practice. By observing your thoughts without judgment, you create space between yourself and the thought. In that space, you gain clarity. You begin to see that thoughts are not commands. They are options. You do not have to obey them. You can choose. And with each choice, you shape the reality you live in. Imagine your mind as a vast library filled with countless books. Each book represents a thought. Some are filled with stories of fear, doubt, and limitation. Others are filled with stories of hope, courage, and possibility. Conscious thought selection is like choosing which book to read. You cannot read them all, and you do not have to. You simply choose the ones that inspire you, guide you, and align with the life you want to create. At first, this practice may feel challenging. Old thoughts will arise, demanding your attention. They may feel urgent, familiar, or even convincing. But with patience, you learn to pause, evaluate, and redirect. Over time, the process becomes natural. You begin to notice that your mind grows quieter, more focused, more aligned with your true self. The art of conscious thought selection is not about controlling every thought. That is impossible. It is about guiding your attention, choosing where to place your energy, and allowing your chosen thoughts to shape your reality. When you master this art, you discover that your mind is not a battlefield but a canvas. And with each thought you select, you paint the picture of the life you desire. Chapter 7. Mastering your internal dialogue. Inside your mind, there is a voice that speaks almost constantly. It comments on your actions, judges your decisions, and shapes the way you see yourself. This voice is often called your internal dialogue, and for many people, it feels like their identity. But in truth, it is not who you are. It is a learned pattern, shaped by experiences, influences, and especially the words you absorbed during childhood. From an early age, the tone of this inner voice was formed by the environment around you. Encouraging words may have created a supportive dialogue, while criticism or neglect may have created a harsh one. Over time, these patterns became automatic, repeating themselves so often that they felt natural. Yet just because they are familiar does not mean they are permanent. Your internal dialogue can be transformed. The first step is awareness. Begin to notice the tone of your inner voice. Is it kind or critical? Does it encourage you or hold you back? Pay attention to the language it uses. Often, you'll find that the words echo old influences rather than your true self. By observing this dialogue, you create space to change it. Transformation begins with choice. You can decide to replace harsh words with gentle ones, doubt with encouragement, and fear with confidence. When your inner voice says, "I can't," you can respond with, "I am learning." When it says, "I'm not enough," you can answer, "I am growing stronger every day." These small shifts in language begin to reshape the dialogue, turning it from an enemy into an ally. Timing also matters. Notice when your inner voice speaks the loudest. Often, it appears during moments of challenge, failure, or vulnerability. These are the times when you need support the most. By preparing new patterns of dialogue, you can meet those moments with strength instead of criticism. Mastering your internal dialogue is not about silencing the voice. It is about guiding it. It is about teaching it to speak with kindness, encouragement, and truth. Over time, the new patterns become automatic. Your inner voice begins to reflect your values, your goals, and your vision for the future. Pause and reflect for a moment. Listen to the words your mind speaks to you each day. Do they uplift you or do they tear you down? Remember, you have the power to change that voice. You are the author of your internal dialogue. And when you master it, you create a source of strength that will guide you through every challenge and every opportunity. Chapter 8. Transforming negative thought spirals. Negative thought spirals are among the most draining experiences of the mind. They begin with a single thought, a worry, a doubt, a fear. And before long, that thought multiplies, repeating itself in endless variations. What starts as a small concern grows into a cycle that feels impossible to escape. These spirals are destructive because they feed on themselves. Each repetition strengthens the pathway in your brain, making the spiral more automatic the next time it begins. The first step in transforming these spirals is awareness. You must learn to notice when a thought begins to repeat itself. Often, spirals feel overwhelming because they happen unconsciously. By bringing them into the light of awareness, you interrupt their momentum. Simply saying to yourself, "I am caught in a spiral," creates distance between you and the thought. That distance is the beginning of freedom. Once you are aware, you can begin to interrupt the spiral. One powerful technique is to ask new questions. Instead of letting the thought repeat, shift it with curiosity. Ask, what if things turn out better than I expect? Or, how can I approach this differently? These questions redirect your mind toward possibility instead of limitation. Another method is thought stopping. When you notice the spiral, firmly tell yourself, stop. This simple command breaks the cycle, even if only for a moment. In that pause, you can choose a new thought to replace the old one. Evidence examination is also effective. Spirals often thrive on assumptions and exaggerations. By asking, is this thought supported by facts or is it just fear? You weaken its power. Reframing is another tool. Instead of seeing the spiral as a threat, view it as a signal. It is your mind's way of showing you where healing is needed. Gratitude can also interrupt spirals. By shifting your focus to what is working, what is beautiful, or what you appreciate, you redirect your energy away from the cycle of negativity. Transforming negative thought spirals is not about eliminating all negative thoughts. It is about breaking their rhythm, interrupting their repetition, and guiding your mind toward healthier patterns. Each time you interrupt a spiral, you weaken its pathway. Each time you replace it with a positive thought, you strengthen a new one. Over time, the spirals lose their grip, and your mind becomes freer, calmer, and more resilient. Pause for a moment and reflect. Think about the spirals that most often catch you. Do they begin with worry about the future, regret about the past, or criticism of yourself? Notice them, name them, and remember, you are not the spiral. You are the observer. You hold the power to interrupt, redirect, and transform. Chapter 9, Building Mental Immunity. Just as your body has an immune system to protect you from illness, your mind also needs an immune system to protect you from negativity, stress, and harmful influences. This mental immunity is what allows you to maintain balance, clarity, and strength even when life becomes challenging. Without it, you are vulnerable to every passing thought, every external opinion, and every wave of fear or doubt. With it, you become resilient, calm, and steady no matter what surrounds you. Building mental immunity begins with awareness of your mental environment. Every day, you are exposed to countless influences, conversations, media, social networks, and even the moods of people around you. Each of these influences carries energy that can affect your state of mind. Some uplift you, while others drain you. By becoming aware of how these influences affect you, you begin to take responsibility for the energy you allow into your mental space. Boundaries are essential. Just as you would protect your body from harmful substances, you must protect your mind from harmful inputs. This does not mean isolating yourself, but it does mean being selective. Choose what you read, what you watch, and who you spend time with. Surround yourself with influences that strengthen your mind instead of weakening it. When you notice that something consistently leaves you feeling drained, anxious, or negative, give yourself permission to step back. Protecting your mental environment is an act of self-care. Another aspect of mental immunity is cultivating positive practices that strengthen your inner resilience. Gratitude, mindfulness, and meditation are powerful tools. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is lacking to what is abundant. Mindfulness teaches you to stay present, reducing the power of worry and regret. Meditation calms the mind, creating space for clarity and peace. Each of these practices builds strength, just as exercise builds physical health. Mental immunity also involves learning to respond rather than react. When challenges arise, the automatic reaction may be fear, anger, or frustration. But with awareness, you can pause, breathe, and choose a response that reflects your values. This pause is like a shield, protecting you from being swept away by negativity. Over time, the ability to respond consciously becomes a habit, reinforcing your immunity against destructive thought patterns. Pause and reflect for a moment. Think about the influences that shape your mental environment. Which ones strengthen you? Which ones weaken you? What boundaries could you create to protect your mind? Remember, mental immunity is not built overnight. It is cultivated through daily choices, small practices, and consistent awareness. When you build mental immunity, you discover a new kind of freedom. You are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances or internal spirals. You carry within you a strength that allows you to remain calm, focused, and positive, even in the face of difficulty. Just as a strong body resists illness, a strong mind resists negativity. And with this strength, you can move through life with clarity, confidence, and peace. Chapter 10. The Art of Focus and Concentration. In today's world, focus has become a rare and valuable skill. Surrounded by constant notifications, endless distractions, and the pull of multiple responsibilities, many people find it difficult to give their full attention to a single thought or task. Yet true focus is not about doing more. It is about doing less with greater depth. Concentration is the art of engaging fully with the present moment, allowing your mind to pour its energy into one direction without scattering. Focus begins with awareness of where your attention is going. Most of the time, the mind drifts unconsciously from one thought to another, pulled by whatever seems urgent or stimulating. But when you pause and notice this drift, you gain the power to redirect. Concentration is not about forcing the mind. It is about gently guiding it back again and again until presence becomes natural. One of the most effective ways to cultivate focus is through single tasking. Instead of dividing your attention among many things, choose one task and give it your full energy. This practice deepens your engagement, increases the quality of your work, and strengthens your ability to concentrate. Over time, single tasking rewires your brain to prefer depth over distraction. Deep work sessions are another powerful tool. By setting aside dedicated time for uninterrupted focus, you create a space where your mind can dive beneath the surface. In these sessions, distractions are minimized, and your thoughts are allowed to flow freely toward the task at hand. The more often you practice deep work, the stronger your concentration becomes. Anchoring techniques can also help. By using a focal object, such as a candle flame, a mantra, or even your breath, you train your mind to return to a single point whenever it begins to wander. This practice builds discipline and strengthens your ability to hold attention. Meditation works in a similar way, teaching the mind to rest in stillness and clarity. Focus is not just about productivity. It is about presence. When you concentrate fully, you experience life more deeply. A conversation becomes richer, a task becomes more meaningful, and even simple moments feel alive. Concentration allows you to connect with your thoughts, your actions, and your environment in a way that scattered attention never can. Pause and reflect for a moment. Notice how often your mind drifts during the day. How many times do you begin one task, only to be pulled into another? Imagine what would change if you could give your full attention to each moment. That is the gift of focus, the ability to live with depth, clarity, and intention. The art of focus and concentration is not about perfection. Your mind will wander and distractions will arise. But each time you bring your attention back, you strengthen your ability to concentrate. Over time, this practice becomes a habit, and your mind grows quieter, steadier, and more powerful. With focus, you gain not only productivity, but also peace. Chapter 11. Creating empowering mental habits. Your life is the sum of your habits, and your habits are the result of your repeated thoughts. Every time you think a thought, you strengthen a pathway in your brain. Every time you repeat it, you reinforce that pathway until it becomes automatic. This is how habits are born, not from single actions, but from consistent patterns of thought that shape your behavior over time. Empowering mental habits begin with awareness. You must first identify the automatic patterns that currently dominate your mind. Are they habits of worry, self-criticism, or doubt? Or are they habits of gratitude, confidence, and hope? By observing your daily thoughts, you begin to see which ones are serving you and which ones are holding you back. This awareness is the foundation of change. Once you recognize your patterns, the next step is replacement. Old habits cannot simply be erased. They must be replaced with new ones. When a negative thought arises, consciously choose a positive alternative. If your mind says, "I can't," replace it with, "I am learning." If it says, I'm not enough, replace it with, I am growing stronger every day. Each replacement is like planting a new seed in your mental garden. With repetition, these seeds grow into new habits that support your growth. Consistency is the key. Just as physical exercise strengthens the body, mental exercise strengthens the mind. The more often you practice empowering thoughts, the more automatic they become. Over time, your brain rewires itself to generate positive patterns without effort. What once felt forced becomes natural. What once felt unfamiliar becomes your new normal. Empowering mental habits also involve rituals. Daily practices such as gratitude journaling, affirmations, meditation, or mindful reflection create structure for your thoughts. These rituals act like anchors, reminding you to return to empowering patterns even when life feels chaotic. They are the routines that keep your mental garden flourishing. Pause and reflect for a moment. Imagine the habits you would like to create. Do you want to cultivate confidence, peace, resilience, or joy? Each of these qualities begins as a thought. Each thought, repeated often enough, becomes a habit. And each habit, sustained over time, becomes a way of life. Creating empowering mental habits is not about perfection. You will still experience moments of doubt, fear, or negativity. But with strong habits, those moments no longer define you. They become passing clouds in a sky that is otherwise clear. Your habits provide stability, guiding you back to strength even when challenges arise. In the end, your habits shape your destiny. By choosing to cultivate empowering mental habits, you design a life rooted in positivity, resilience, and growth. You become the architect of your own reality, building it thought by thought, habit by habit, until it reflects the highest vision of who you are meant to be. You have now walked through the hidden landscape of your mind, exploring the power of thought control, the workings of your mental operating system, the science of neuroplasticity, and the art of conscious choice. Each chapter has revealed a truth. Your thoughts are not fixed, your patterns are not permanent, and your reality is not predetermined. You are the observer, the gardener, the architect of your inner world. Thoughts are the seeds of your destiny. They shape your emotions, guide your actions, and create the results you experience in life. When left unchecked, they can spiral into negativity, reinforcing old habits and limiting beliefs. But when guided with awareness, they become tools of transformation. Every time you choose a thought aligned with your highest vision, you strengthen a pathway that leads to growth, resilience, and peace. The journey of thought control is not about perfection. You will still encounter moments of doubt, fear, or distraction. But with practice, you learn to pause, observe, and redirect. You learn to master your internal dialogue, to break free from spirals, and to build mental immunity that protects you from negativity. You discover the art of focus, the strength of empowering habits, and the freedom of conscious choice. Pause for a moment and reflect on how far you have come. Think of the tools you now carry: awareness, observation, replacement, reframing, gratitude, mindfulness, and focus. Each of these is a key, unlocking doors to new possibilities. Each of these is a practice, guiding you toward a life shaped not by automatic patterns, but by deliberate design. The truth is simple yet profound. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses them. And in that choice lies your greatest power. With patience and persistence, you can transform your mental landscape, creating a reality filled with clarity, confidence, and joy. This is a journey of thought control, a journey of liberation, empowerment, and transformation. It is the path of becoming the master of your mind, the author of your story, and the creator of your destiny. And as you continue to walk this path, remember, every thought is a seed. Plant wisely, nurture deeply, and watch your life bloom into the vision you hold within.